Oscar Bevis for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm here at the Olympia in Liverpool. It's MTK Fight Night and I'm joined by Brian the Lion Rose. Brian, do you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. You know, November, I did say that I was ring rusty and I was allowed a bad performance, and that was my bad performance. But tonight, I felt 80-90% back to my best. You know, I boxed through instructions, probably could have got him out of there, but after the first right hand, I just felt he stood behind me, so I've got to be careful what I say. But yeah, I felt like he just went into his shell. He stopped throwing his jab, because what I do quite well is throw a nice right hand over the top when they throw a weak jab. So first round I knew he was doing that, and then after I knocked him down, he just went into his shell. So I had to box through instructions, and I felt like I was doing all the honest work at one point. You know, it was me that was working, and I was getting nothing back. So I thought I'll just get on my jab and box and get the rounds out.
Sometimes do you need sort of a frustrating fight like that to get you back in the swing, because it's not all plain sailing?
Yeah, but to be honest, my frustrating fight was in November against Alistair Warren, because he was a bit heavier. I just wasn't that way. That wasn't frustrating. I really enjoyed it. I was enjoying myself, dropping my left hand, working on things, throwing a left up from a single shot. Like, I enjoyed it, and I worked on things in there. So they were really good rounds for me, and rounds that I need going into whoever I fight next.
Obviously, you've been fairly inactive, it's fair to say, over the last couple of years, but is there a local rivalry brewing that's perhaps keeping you in the game?
Well, apparently so. You know, someone mentioned it on Twitter, and then next thing, it didn't even cross my mind. I was moving down to light middleweight, but Scott Fitzgerald never crossed my mind. I've got a lot of love for him. You know, I'd like to think that I'm his friend. So he's a nice kid. You know, he's been respectful towards me. So, but the fight makes so much sense. You don't understand how many people are talking about that fight, and unless you're from Preston, Blackpool, that sort of area, Kirkham, Fleetwood, you don't understand how huge that fight is for Lancashire. So for me, Eddie wants the fight, I want the fight, and Scott Fitzgerald wants the fight. So there's no reason why that fight shouldn't happen. In Blackpool and Preston, I'll fight him anywhere. Like I said, I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this to win belts. I want to win belts again. I want to finish and retire with no regrets, and that's all I want from boxing. And if I make money along the way, then amazing.
Of course, Scott beat Anthony Fowler on TV. You beat him on Sky Sports, yeah. So of course there's going to be a lot of takers and people who want to fight Scott. If that's not something that can happen next for you, then what sort of other avenues will you be looking at?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying that I deserve the shot at Scott Fitzgerald, but the fight makes sense. You know, I've only had a 6th round in November and a 6th round now. I'm not saying I deserve it, but what I am saying is I've been there, done it. I fought for a world title. I've got that British title that he wants at home. I've got that. I've had that for years. You know, so for me, it makes sense. He needs a big name on his record. I can be his big name. So that's who I want next. If not, someone with a belt. You know, someone with a decent belt to fight for over 10 or 12 rounds.
What did you make of Scott's performance against Anthony Fowler?
I think he boxed to a game plan. I thought he'd go out all guns blazing, but he never. You know,
we thought they both would, the way it was.
Yeah, and I think it was a very good technical. They're both very good boxers. I was surprised Scott was beating him to the jab. He's got a brilliant jab, like myself. So yeah, it was a great performance. Take nothing away from him, but both very inexperienced as pros. So I think Scott had 9. No, Fowler had 9, and Scott had 13 or 14. I'm not sure, but you know, they're both inexperienced as pros, and that for me is why I win the fight, through experience. I've done that 12 rounds standing on my head. You know, I've done it so many times.
Do you feel like Scott Fitzgerald is the fight that gives you the most to gain?
Bragging rights, yeah, bragging rights. It'll be good. I think I want big nights for Blackpool. I want big nights for the Fylde Coast. Big nights for Preston. You know, it just makes so much sense. And I just want to bring big nights back to Blackpool. You know, I sold out Winter Gardens when I was fighting for British titles. I knocked out an ex-world champion at Winter Gardens. So someone like Scott Fitzgerald is the right fight for me. You know, I was fired up for this. I trained for this like it was a world title. I really did. I couldn't do what I wanted to do tonight because he just went into his shell. I hurt him in the first round, and then he just shut up shop. I couldn't get rid of him.
And just finally about making 154, how have you found that?
Well, I made 11 stone 6 yesterday easily. He came 5 pounds overweight. It wasn't an issue, you know. So for me, making 11 stone again, I'll be honest, it would be a struggle, but I was struggling to make middleweight 6 months ago because I got lazy. So I might as well struggle trying to make like middleweight than trying to make middle. You know, you get complacent. So I moved up to middleweight and I got complacent with the weight, you know. So I might as well move down to like middleweight and dedicate myself and eat properly for 12 weeks.
Well, Brian, hopefully we can see you in a big fight towards the end of the year, maybe?
Yeah, I'm ready now. You know, that was an easy 6 rounds. I boxed his head off. So for me, I'm ready to go now. I'll start training next week. Can I just thank my sponsors, Fleetwood Town, BES, Card Saver and Azat Mard. They've been great throughout camp and really helped me with everything, training costs in America. So without sponsors, I mean, there's a few badges on my shorts, I just can't name them all. So I just want to thank them all for helping me during camp.
Brilliant. Well, Brian, thank you for speaking to IFL TV. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you.